Resident Evil 4 Remake sees the return of multiple fan-favorite characters, but the best NPC of the series doesn't receive an appearance. Resident Evil has plenty of memorable NPCs, but one, in particular, lacks a presence in the majority of games from the series, including the recently released Resident Evil 4 Remake. It doesn't take long for characters to make a lasting impression in a game, but despite this character having one of the most iconic lines in the entire Resident Evil series, he rarely makes appearances. However, this seems to follow a pattern in Resident Evil, with NPCs appearing in a game, then rarely receiving a mention in future titles. The original Resident Evil introduced players to Jill Valentine, Claire Redfield, and Albert Wesker, a trio of characters that would continue to appear in subsequent games in main and supporting roles. Then, Resident Evil 2 introduced players to more iconic main characters like Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield, both of whom would also appear as playable characters in future titles. And yet, there are plenty of NPCs who show up once or twice in a game to help out the main characters, only to receive minimal recognition in the future. This is the case for even the best NPC in Resident Evil. Barry Burton became the best NPC with his debut in the first Resident Evil. The original Resident Evil has classic gameplay and tank controls, but it also features moments and characters that would become iconic to the franchise as a whole, and an NPC who almost rivals the main cast in fame. Barry Burton quickly secured his place as Resident Evil's best NPC with quippy one-liners and a well-developed backstory. Those who play as Jill in the original Resident Evil also get to see Barry more often throughout the game, and they get to hear a few of the most iconic lines in the series, such as "That was too close." "You were almost a Jill sandwich," and in Jill, "Hey, race a lockpick." "It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you." Barry's tragic motives in Resident Evil. Despite helping Jill avoid death in Resident Evil, Barry also pulls his gun on her at Wesker's command, even though he isn't an antagonist. Instead, the problem lies in the fact that Barry loves his family and would do anything for them, even if that means turning on his comrades, because Wesker is threatening him using his family. This sets up a core element of Barry's character that remains unchanged years later in Resident Evil Revelations 2. After learning that Wesker lied and the threat against Barry's family was simply meant to make him useful as a tool, Barry turns on Wesker to knock him out and continues to help Jill survive the mansion and its T-virus-infected residents. Overall, Barry is a supporting character in Resident Evil, showing up primarily in cutscenes scattered throughout Jill's side of the game. After his initial appearance, he's limited to mentions and Easter eggs in subsequent mainline Resident Evil games and remakes. Thanks for watching. Please give us a like and subscribe.